Oh my gosh, this is so cute! Hello!
It's a kids press conference and the kids here are very on fire. Oh, what is your favorite term?
I like hardcourt the best. I've been a professional player for 6 years.
Same name.
Same
Alexandra.
name, very
And,
beautiful
she
name.
asked for your favorite color. So say purple, say purple.
Purple. You like purple?
Be honest.
Somewhere in Berlin, a little girl walked into a tennis press conference, holding a microphone that looked like it belonged to a television network, not a child. A few minutes later, one simple question had Alex Eala smiling, and thousands of people talking about something other than rankings, trophies, or match results. How did a conversation that lasted only moments become one of the most talked about Alex Eala clips of the year? And what did it reveal about her that even longtime tennis fans missed?
Alex takes out Elena in straight sets. Another huge win, of course. She beat Rybakina yesterday, and as usual, she was very emotional, and rightfully so. All the Filipinos in the crowd loving this one over there in Germany. And I'm not sure who she's going to play next. I looked it up, and the draw hasn't been updated on the certain websites that we look at. So let me know in the comments, who does she play next? We know that, of course, Madison Keys lost to Jessica Pegula this morning, and Sabalenka won.
There is something wonderfully ironic about modern professional sports. The bigger an athlete becomes, the harder it often is to see the actual person behind the rankings, statistics, trophies, and headlines. Fans learn the numbers. They memorize the results. They debate the rankings.
And Alex Eala, having one of the best weeks of her life, gets another top 10 win, beats Svitolina 6-3, 6-4 to reach the semi-finals in Berlin. Next up, my top 10 player, Linda Noskova. Not going to be easy, but neither was Svitolina, and neither was Rybakina in the round before. I mean, Svitolina and Rybakina are two of the best players this year. We know, both of which extremely good on the grass. Rybakina won Wimbledon.
Yet the human being behind all of it can slowly disappear beneath layers of competition. That is why one of the most memorable moments of Alex Eala's week in Berlin did not happen during a match, a training session, or even a trophy ceremony.
Well, congratulations, Alexandra. You are in the semifinals of the Wanda Pharmaceuticals Berlin Tennis Open. How does that sound?
That sounds amazing, and I can't believe it. I'm in shock right now, so thank you, everybody.
You had to wait a long time for your quarterfinals because the match before there was very topsy-turvy. You know, Nicola was up a set and 2 breaks. You were up a set and 2 breaks here. Suddenly it's 5-4 love.
It happened when a young girl picked up a microphone that looked almost too large for her hands and asked a question so simple that most adults in tennis rarely think to ask anymore. The setting could not have been more different from the pressure-filled environments that usually define life on the WTA Tour. There were no line judges preparing for a match. There were no ranking points on the line.
Oh, hi, Alex. Lots of Alexes here. Thank you for your question. I love tennis because it makes me feel empowered, and it makes me feel confident, and it makes me feel strong.
How old are you?
I am 21 years old. How old are you?
I am 7.
Oh,
I am 5.
you're 5, 6. I've been playing tennis for 17 years, so very...
There was no scoreboard waiting to judge every decision. Instead, there was a child, a microphone, and a conversation. Across from that child sat Alex Eala, the 21-year-old Filipino star who had arrived in Berlin as the world number 35 and one of the most talked about young players in women's tennis. The coincidence that immediately captured attention was impossible to ignore. The young interviewer shared the same first name. Alex was interviewing Alex. It was one of those rare moments that nobody could have planned, yet somehow felt perfectly written. The WTA social media team quickly recognized the charm of the situation and captioned the exchange, "From one Alex to another." What followed was not a groundbreaking tactical discussion about forehands, rankings, or tournament strategy. Instead, the child asked a question that cut through every layer of professional sports media training. Why do you love tennis? For many athletes, particularly those who spend years speaking to reporters, questions often become predictable. Responses can become polished. Answers can become rehearsed. Yet Eala's reply felt refreshingly genuine. She explained that tennis makes her feel empowered. It makes her feel confident. It makes her feel strong. The answer was short, but what made it resonate was not its length. It was the sincerity behind it. There was no attempt to sound profound. There was no effort to manufacture a headline. She answered the question exactly as it had been asked, meeting the curiosity of a child with the honesty of someone who still remembers why she started playing the sport in the first place. That authenticity immediately connected with fans online. Once the clip appeared across the WTA's platforms on June 14th, it began spreading throughout tennis communities and social media feeds.
What a result! Alexandra Eala has pulled off one of the biggest wins of her career. She's taken down the former Wimbledon champion on grass. And this is not just a good win, this is a statement. Just when we thought it can't get any better from Alexandra Eala, she has done the unthinkable. She has beaten Jelena Rybakina on her best surface.
The reaction was noticeably different from the usual discussions that surround professional tennis players. Instead of debating rankings, draw positions, or title chances, fans focused on something far more personal. They focused on Alex Eala herself. For many viewers, the clip provided something that rankings never can. Rankings tell you where a player stands. Statistics tell you what a player has achieved. Results tell you whether a player won or lost. None of those things reveal character. This moment did. The timing made the exchange even more fascinating because Eala arrived in Berlin carrying the emotional weight of two completely different experiences from the previous week. Just 8 days earlier, she had been celebrating one of the biggest achievements of her season. The schedule moves relentlessly forward, and the next challenge is always waiting. For Eala, that challenge arrived almost immediately. Only 3 days after lifting the Birmingham trophy, she stepped onto the grass courts at Queen's Club and suffered a difficult defeat against American teenager Iva Jovic. The scoreline was decisive. There was no easy way to explain it away.
We have Alexandra Eala versus Alina Svitolina for the quarterfinals of the Berlin Open. What a match we have on our hands. Alexandra Eala is in incredible form. She's just beaten the current and most recently crowned Queen's champion in Donna Vekic in straight sets, and then beat the world number 2, the 2022 Wimbledon champion Jelena Rybakina in straight sets by the same score.
Even more frustrating was the fact that Jovic had already beaten her earlier in the season at Roland Garros. Within a matter of days, Eala experienced both extremes that professional athletes know all too well. She stood on a winner's podium holding a trophy, and then she walked off another court after a disappointing loss. Many athletes struggle with that emotional swing. Winning can create confidence. Losing can create doubt. Maintaining balance between the two is often one of the hardest skills to develop. That is why the Berlin Kids press conference became so revealing. The smile viewers saw on camera was not the smile of someone riding a perfect wave of momentum. It was the smile of a competitor who had recently experienced disappointment and still chose to show up with openness, patience, and kindness. Some people may dismiss events like these as simple public relations exercises. The real question is what shines through once the cameras start rolling. What emerged during Eala's conversation was a glimpse of consistency. The personality fans saw during the kids' press conference was remarkably similar to the one she had displayed during her Birmingham victory speech. After winning the title, Eala spoke with a level of humility that stood out in an era when athletes are often encouraged to celebrate every milestone as if it were a final destination.
Has gone far too, and this just shows the level she can produce. I mean, with Eala, she's been a little bit up and down. We know she's not the finished product yet. She's not someone who's going to go on and win Grand Slams right now. However, on the grass, maybe it's her best chances, because Wimbledon, I feel, is an open tournament, and the way she's producing results right now in a big tournament, let's be fair, this is not a small tournament. We've had all of the top players there.
She acknowledged the significance of the trophy, but she also emphasized that it was simply another step in her journey. She did not speak like someone who believed she had arrived. She spoke like someone who believed she still had work to do. That mindset has quietly become one of the defining characteristics of her rise. At only 21 years old, Eala has spent much of 2026 transforming potential into results. The progress has been steady rather than explosive, which often makes it easier to overlook. Fans tend to notice sudden breakthroughs. They notice overnight sensations. They notice dramatic jumps. Eala's climb has looked different. Week after week, tournament after tournament, she has accumulated victories, experience, and ranking points. She earned nearly $800,000 in prize money before the season even reached its halfway point. Those achievements are not accidents. They are the result of consistency. That consistency also explains why Berlin extended her main draw wildcard into one of the strongest tournaments of the grass court season. This was not simply an invitation based on promise. It was recognition of progress.
This match and yesterday, we get to watch Alex at a reasonable hour over here in the United States. We got to watch this one at about 12 p.m. It ran kind of late because Sabalenka won 3 sets. Sabalenka won 3 sets against the 62 ranked player in the world, where Alex took out Elena, who Alex says Elena is her idol. She said today that Elena from Ukraine is
The Berlin Open featured 6 top 10 players, including some of the biggest names in women's tennis. Players such as Aryna Sabalenka, Elena Rybakina, Jessica Pegula, and Coco Gauff were all part of the field. In a tournament packed with established stars and major champions, Eala was not simply invited to participate. She was selected as one of the players featured during Media Day activities. That distinction may seem minor on the surface, but it says something important about how the tour now views her. Alex Eala is no longer being treated as a promising prospect from the Philippines. She is increasingly being treated as a player with global appeal. That evolution becomes even clearer when looking at the broader significance of the Berlin press conference. Eala's story now resonates far beyond her home country. Filipino fans naturally see her as a source of pride. Young players see her as proof that success at the highest level is possible. International audiences increasingly see her as one of the most intriguing young personalities on tour. The reaction to the clip reflected exactly that. Many comments focused on how comfortable she seemed around children. Others pointed out the charming coincidence of the two Alexes sharing a conversation. Filipino fan accounts celebrated the interaction as another example of her growing visibility on the world stage.
The match before come into your mind at all?
No, trust me. Although the match before me was an amazing match and both players fought so hard, I was a little preoccupied with my situation.
But how was the feeling once she started coming back? I mean, love 30, there's a few decisions to make. Do you play conservative, or you're more the type that goes for it?
I think it really depends on the situation, depends on so many factors.
Interestingly, very few discussions centered on rankings or match predictions. For once, people were talking about character. Yet even as the internet celebrated the warmth of that exchange, the competitive reality of Berlin remained waiting just around the corner. 2 days after the press conference, Eala's first-round opponent would be Donna Vekic, one of the most accomplished grass court players in the draw. The challenge was significant. Vekic arrived in Berlin carrying impressive momentum, fresh off a title run at Queen's Club. She was an Olympic silver medalist, a Wimbledon semi-finalist, and one of the most dangerous opponents Eala could have faced in an opening round match. The kid's press conference was never really about the interview itself. It was about timing. It captured a player standing at the intersection of victory and defeat, confidence and uncertainty, opportunity and pressure. 8 days after lifting a trophy, 4 days after suffering a difficult loss, 2 days before facing one of the toughest tests of her grass court season. Through all of it, the version of Alex Eala that emerged remained remarkably consistent. She was the same athlete who spoke humbly after winning a title. She was the same athlete who accepted setbacks without public frustration. She was the same athlete who answered a child's question with honesty rather than performance.
In Berlin, in straight sets as well. Absolutely wild stuff. But let's just get stuck into it. Coming into the match, Rybakina, she was the clear favorite. She had the ranking, the power, the serve, Grand Slam pedigree. And she'd already beaten Eala earlier this season in Rome. But this time, we're on the grass. And Eala stepped up to flip the script. That's right. She was just fearless in this.
That consistency may ultimately prove more valuable than any individual result. Professional tennis has a way of exposing every weakness. It challenges confidence. It tests patience. It magnifies mistakes. The players who survive those pressures are not always the most talented. Often, they are the ones who maintain their identity regardless of whether they are winning or losing. Eala appears to be developing exactly that quality. Perhaps that is why the image from Berlin continues to linger long after the interview ended. It is not the image of a future ranking or a future trophy. It is simply the image of a young athlete sitting across from a child who asked a question adults often forget to ask. In a sport obsessed with outcomes, that moment quietly redirected attention towards something deeper. And Alex Eala, one of the fastest rising stars in world tennis, answered with the same simplicity that made the question so powerful in the first place. For a few minutes, the scoreboards disappeared. The rankings faded into the background, and the future could wait. What remained was a conversation between two people who happened to share the same name, a love for tennis, and a reminder that sometimes the most memorable moments in sports are not the ones that happen during the match at all.
And let's not forget that Rybakina is also the 2026 Australian Open champion. She is, in my opinion as well, the best player on grass on paper at the moment on tour. For Svitolina, she's not in bad form herself. She's beaten Kalinskaya in straight sets, and then Eva Lise, the home favourite. She goes into this again in good form, and she has credentials, right? Semi-final at Wimbledon. She is a player that likes the grass, she moves well, she's experienced.
As the Berlin tournament moved forward, the significance of that brief exchange only became clearer. Professional athletes spend much of their lives being evaluated through numbers. Yet fans often remember the moments that reveal personality far more vividly than any statistic. Years from now, many people may struggle to recall exactly where Alex Eala was ranked during this particular week, or how many prize money dollars she had earned by mid-season. But they will likely remember the image of a young star taking time to engage sincerely with a child who simply wanted to understand why she loved the sport. That memory matters because tennis is ultimately sustained by connection. For Eala, that may be one of the most valuable accomplishments of all. Her victories have elevated her ranking, her performances have increased her visibility, and her talent has earned her invitations to some of the sport's biggest stages. Yet moments like the Berlin Kids press conference demonstrate that her growing reputation is being built on more than results alone. It is being built on authenticity, humility, and a willingness to remain approachable even as the spotlight grows brighter.